if you tried something and it didn't work for you, that's not a failure. You learned something.
Yeah.
And that's positive momentum. And so much about life is just about your mindset and how you perceive things, and whether you let yourself get led down these rabbit holes of negativity, or whether you just, flip your perspective and go, actually, learning opportunity. It's a challenge. It's something I can overcome. I'm on the right path.
Yeah. Start to recognize those moments when you spiral, it's another great line by someone I interviewed, Priyanka Chopra. She said that sadness is seductive. And I was like, oh,
so tempting.
That's a good one. It's like, there's something about, right? Just feeling like going down that rabbit hole and looking at something on the internet.
Moment.
Totally. Yeah. And really all it's doing is fulfilling sort of like a hormonal trigger loop where you just go to that place that is not necessarily good for you, but it's familiar. And so our bodies are so good at being on autopilot with so many things. Our subconscious is programmed by the time we're like 6-7 years old with most of the things that exist in our life, like walking and talking, and also our emotional responses. So you talked about how, you can get into the therapy and the other stuff, and that's really hard. And I want to talk about that because in my opinion, those are the roots. Like the roots are when you go to therapy, in which I want to talk about therapy too, because I feel like I want to normalize therapy because I feel like it's so helpful. And I want to normalize personal, like solo therapy. I think there's so many people that tend to go to therapy because they're in a relationship and things are breaking down. But it's like you actually can solve a lot or maybe all of the problem if you individually go and work on yourself, because when you change, the things you see change. And it's not meant to be necessarily, I think, like a codependent thing, although I think it's a tool later on, but you better be doing your own work. So I think that the roots work, the childhood work, and is so important. And you said it's hard. And I just want to talk about it being hard because all I know for me is that everything that has been a great transition in my life has come from like the fires of hell. Like it is meltdown, breakdown, convulsions, like, just like true releasing. I mean, that's all I can really call it, is releasing. It's like alchemizing an old story and burning it to the ground, and like a new one emerges. And
you have to for something new.
It's painful. I want you to talk about the pain because yes, it's really hard, but anything that you want to achieve that's really great is going to be hard. So whether it's like a transition into a better place in life mentally, or whether it's achieving like a bigger bicep, like it should be hard or it's not working, right?
It's the same. I mean, it's that whole idea that breakdowns are actually breakthroughs, because if you've hit a point in your life where you're at this wall and then suddenly there's this moment of confrontation within yourself, that means you're finally progressing something, because the natural human instinct is to run away from something difficult or painful. And it's the same fear that can cause people to procrastinate anything from starting an essay if they're feeling lazy about their homework. Oh, I don't want to do it. I'm just going to play video games. You're scared to start because you don't want to do this difficult thing and you're going to fail your class. You're not lazy. You probably care about what you're doing because you're scared about it. It's just the fear that you need to overcome. For me, it was that. And then the mental health, I was like, after a long day, after a really tough week, I don't want to do this hard work. I just want to chill out and watch TV. I don't want to look in the mirror and go like, what is my trauma? I must overcome it. But you have to. And I'm saying this as someone that has hit those walls a couple times in my life where I was just like, you know what? For me, the biggest thing was my sexuality. Because I knew from a very young age, I was probably some kind of gay, but I grew up in a very homophobic environment, super macho, super aggressive. I went to an all boys school and everything about it indoctrinated me. It was this brainwashing that just said, this is something bad. This is something that will be bad for you. You have to just brush it under the rug. And I went through decades of my life just deathly afraid of confronting this. And regardless of what you feel about it, it was the fact of who I am. This is who I am as a person. I was made this way, and you can't hide from something like that. But trying to run from it, it drained away at every single part of my life. It pulled me down into this depression. It gave me fear and paranoia of how I would be judged. I looked at myself in the mirror. I hated what I saw because I thought I was fundamentally broken. And it got to this point where in my life and career, I just felt like my life's a mess. I don't know what I'm doing. But as this person who's supposed to be this performer, I can't step on a stage. I can't turn on a camera and tell someone about my day when I know my entire life is built on this lie that I'm telling myself. And I very dramatically, I just disappeared for like a year from the internet because I was just like, I cannot even create anymore. I cannot bear to open a little notepad file and then just write a word because every part of my body was just screaming like, you just can't do it anymore. You just can't do it. I really tried to just brush it under the rug, and then it couldn't happen. And it took a year for me, not just to work out, how I'm going to tell my family, how is it going to affect my career? How am I going to, because the thing with coming out, until we live in a world where being gay is completely uninteresting, of course it's going to be a big deal. It's a surprise. So I was like, oh no, even if I want to be the most introverted, left alone person, it's going to be this whole parade when I, have to break the news about this thing. But even my own understanding of who I was, it took months for me to just look in the mirror and be like, look, you just need to accept that you're gay. It's just a fact. So you need to learn to deal with this. Otherwise, your life, it just can't go forward. And it's that whole, people don't want to go to therapy because they're like, oh, I'm scared I'm going to find out there's a problem about myself. And it's like, well, yeah, but that's a good thing. Finding out that you've got an issue is a great moment because it means that when you get to the other side, hey,
what is it? I'm curious, and I'm sure that there are people that will hear this and they're in the position that you were in. Like, what is it like to walk around and know that no one knows, or know that no one knows for sure? And, is it, and I'm fascinated with the idea. Do you think that they can see you? Like, are you afraid, like standing on a stage is like, does there always seem like there's this sort of like very thin veil between, the facade and the truth, and are you afraid that maybe you'll slip up? I mean, what is it like to participate in your own reality when it's not the real thing?
I think that it's actually another quite universal experience that anyone who feels like, I know that my career is not working out and I need to change something, or this relationship that I might have been in, I need to make a change.
Yeah, this could be anything.
A lot of people, they look at gay people and they're like, that's its own thing. And it's like, actually, it's the same thing as you not wanting to have that conversation with your wife. Totally. You know what I mean? Totally. And for me, it was, not only did it feel like I couldn't form any connection, it was putting an emotional wall up between me and having anything real in my life. Oof. Because I wasn't letting anybody in or out. And then the fear that there was this thing that could just dissolve my entire life just meant that I felt permanently on edge. And when I say permanently, it's something that I experienced for the entirety of my life until the day I was like, okay, well, I guess I just have to clarify this one little thing that may or not be interesting. And when I say it felt like a weight lifted, it's because I'm a very, boring, scientific, grounded person. I'm not very, magical with my words or this, that, and the other. But it felt like I had been wearing a suit of chainmail my entire life. And the moment I confronted the truth, not just dealt with it in the world, but actually just accepted it myself, it just instantly shed. And my physical feeling in my body and perception of the entire world changed instantly. You cannot be inauthentic in your life. And it's one of the most difficult things that it's easy to say. You have to strive to be authentic in every part of your life. Depending on your circumstances, you might not be able to do that. I couldn't do it for so many years. It would have been great if I could have magically done it as a child. I just wasn't in the position. Whether you want to change your career, change your relationship, come out or something, sometimes you just have to bide your time, but you can't ever give up on having that moment because, we've all got this one life. And I'm saying as someone who's been on that whole journey and got to the other side, whatever it is, no matter how difficult it is, you got to go there. You got to accept the truth. You got to confront it. And even if it's really hard work, it's worth it.
Yeah.